I thank the chair. You know, the delegate from D.C. has been crabbing here about various proposals by Republicans to pass some kind of national abortion law to supersede states' laws. That's kind of odd because that's exactly what Roe v. Wade did, and they are embracing Roe v. Wade. In fact, the radical Democrats on this committee just a year ago voted lockstep to pass the most radical ever abortion bill, lifting any restrictions on abortion whatsoever. That was the Women's Health Protection Act. Everybody here, every Democrat in Congress did, in the House, except for one, Representative Cuellar, but it failed in the Senate. I just think it's interesting. That's why I bring it up. It wasn't in my notes, but I mean the fact that you're saying, wait a second, there's state laws that might conflict with what we believe, the new orthodoxy. But that's exactly what Roe v. Wade did. I didn't hear any Republicans or conservatives or pro-life advocates saying, hey, let's pack the court. Sure hear it now. In fact, that's one of the articles I'm going to submit for the record, Madam Chair, is the list of Democrats who've called for packing the court because they don't like the Dobbs decision. We heard just a minute ago the gentleman from Maryland say, hey, let's not go down the way of Saudi Arabia and Iran. Apparently, he'd rather go down the way of China and North Korea, because that's what the bill that he voted for did. Took away all restrictions on abortion whatsoever. Yeah, that's pretty doggone radical if you ask me. And that's why it isn't so brave to have to come into this committee, because the chair and everybody in the majority, in fact, every witness but one agrees with that radical position. So the real person who's exhibiting bravery today, and I want to thank you for coming in, is Dr. Wubenhorst. Thanks for being here, coming into the belly of the beast, as Mr. Grothman said. By 6 weeks, medicine has found that an unborn baby's heart is beating, and that's a medical milestone echoed by popular websites like whattoexpect.com, babycenter.com, which even tells mothers, you may hear the sound this week if you have an early ultrasound. But recently, you had a prominent Democrat running for statewide office in Georgia say, quote, there's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body away from her, close quote. That's from Stacey Abrams. And I want to say, Dr. Wubenhorst, I really appreciate what you said in your testimony, both written and oral today. The fact that we don't detect it doesn't mean it's not there. Please expand on that.
Well, I think that it's, especially regarding the fetal heartbeat and indeed almost any developmental milestone, but especially the heartbeat as an indicator of fetal health and well-being, and also a reassurance to physicians and, I wish I understood what I was speaking about, reassurance to physicians and patients that, again, it's similar to the phenomenon of fetal pain. We can't appreciate whether the fetus experiences pain or not. Pain is a subjective phenomenon, but we can observe that it exists. It probably exists based on the evidence. Similarly, with the fetal heartbeat, we know that based on embryological studies and anatomical studies, we know that these structures are present. People have followed the development of the fetal heart, the development as it not just in its primordial, in its primitive state, but as valves and chambers form, and that pattern is laid down, as I said, pretty much by about 7 to 8 weeks. So it's really at that point almost in miniature, and there are, of course, other anatomical differences. And so I do think that it's important to keep in mind that being able to see and detect these phenomena, or for example, the fetal heartbeat, does not negate the fact that the fetus is a human being and that the heartbeat is present.
So a prominent Democrat speaking on the podcast of a disgraced former CNN anchor claimed that the Supreme Court's Dobbs v. Jackson decision forces mothers to carry a, quote, toxic thing, close quote, inside them. Would you tell us whether you believe that a fetus is a toxic thing inside a woman's body?
I don't believe that a fetus is a toxic thing inside a woman's body because women want to be pregnant. They want to have families. And if you look at very well-established data on why women have abortions, it is because they have no one to support them through pregnancy. I've talked to women repeatedly, especially in work with a crisis pregnancy center, and they said, if I just knew that someone would walk with me through this pregnancy, I would not abort. And that's basically in somewhere between 60 and 80%. So really what you could look at with a lot of women who are choosing to abort is a subtle form of coercion. And that's
The gentlelady's
Yeah, my time has
expired.
expired. Madam Chair, I do have three documents for the record. One called Fact Check, There's No Such Thing as Heartbeat, says Stacey Abrams. Goldberg dehumanizes non-viable unborn children as toxic thing. And also Dr. Wibbenhorst's amicus brief to the Dobbs decision. I'd like to submit those for the record.
Without objection.
Thank you very much.